Ahoy there, you pack of nerds! Welcome back to another edition, another episode of the Vigilant Geek podcast. My name is Andrew Puzak of Vigilant Geek Media, and with me, as always, my comic book partner in crime,
Holden Orme.
Also of Vigilant Geek Media.
It's part of SCI-FI month. It's still going on. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, we want to welcome you back to another episode in our current science fiction month here at the Vigilant Geek. With us this week, we have a special guest, New England stand-up comedian and also the owner and operator of Hotcast Studios, Nathan Burke.
That's me.
That's back.
Me. I'm back.
He's back.
I'm back.
He's going to talk about Stargate.
Stargate.
Among other things.
Great pirate series, Stargate.
I love pirates. That's not what we're talking about this week, but we do have some pretty cool topics of discussion for you. This week we're going to go over some of our favorite science fiction television series. Some of the TV series that we will be discussing today will include The Twilight Zone, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Firefly, The Flash, Adventure Time, believe it or not, as an actual sci-fi. We'll get into that. Rick and Morty, Star Trek, Battlestar Galactica, Gundam Wing, and Cowboy Bebop, as well as Stargate.
Stargate SG-1 and Stargate Atlantis.
We're going to talk all the Stargates here today. But I suppose first and foremost, let's discuss one of the most infamous science fiction series, one of the most longest running if you count.
Influential.
And influential, absolutely. A program that was truly ahead of its time in The Twilight Zone.
It's probably the first, in my opinion, personally, it's the first great series, not even just sci-fi series, but it's such a good series, just that the style of it being in like black and white and just being like these sort of creepy morality tales.
When did it debut?
Ooh, I want to say something wrong that I'm not sure about.
I don't know, man. Just kind of make a broad guess.
It was, in the mid-'60s,
I was going to say mid-'60s myself.
It was most of them were talkies.
Yeah.
They had characters interacting with one another.
Yeah, and then what I like about it is like they're sort of like these short stories, pretty much. One episode doesn't have anything to do with the next one. It's just completely episodic. Style. They're like little.
Didn't they start that that sort of theme for their television show?
59 it debuted in 59.
It's kind of like SNL,
wow.
Only not live, but it's like they take famous directors and freaking get them to do episodes.
A lot of famous actors. Yeah.
So like each of them will do like one episode, which is easy for them, and then they still get ridiculous paychecks because they're Hollywood directors.
Right.
And I mean, they got William Shatner. For Pete's sake,
a few of them, yeah.
He did one of my favorite Twilight Zone episodes where
is that with the clown on the wing,
the gremlin on the wing?
Oh, there's the classic gremlin on the wing. Pardon my French there, but another episode that I really enjoy is when he goes into this diner with his wife. And there's this little napkin holder.
I know what you're talking about.
With the little like devil head on top of it, and it you put in like a quarter or something, and it'll tell you your fortune, and he gets completely drawn into this napkin holder, and to the point where the napkin holder is like making him like stay at the restaurant, like. And
trying to figure out his future, basically.
Yeah, he just becomes so obsessed with that. And it's like, the cool thing about the series as a whole is a lot of times they take their episodes and they base it on some kind of like a personality quirk or some kind of personality.
Mr. Bevis. It's like Rod Serling just comes in. He's like, introducing Mr. Clark. He's a dumb idiot. Just a dummy. Look at this dumb, stupid dork. But something happens, and you'll see what happens when he mixes with this thing, and then he becomes a cool guy or something. Introducing Steven Urkel. But when he goes into this machine he makes, he comes out Stefan Arkell. That would be a good Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah.
Is Stefan Arkell.
I think I saw that Family Matters episode.
They did.
They had like the white family show followed by the black family show.
Yeah. I think
on TGIF.
technically in that sense Family Matters is a sci-fi series.
It can be sometimes.
He
yeah.
built a machine to make himself cooler.
He also uses like hair samples from celebrities to turn into like Bruce Lee and fight people. I'm like, oh no, we forgot the serum. And
What a
he's
ridiculous show that like they just did that on like a show that
well, it
was
was supposed to be
real.
like about like family values, like involving a black family, but no one gave a shit, so they just ran with Urkel.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that Urkel was like, their big money maker, the butter for their bread.
They even had like merchandise for him. They
Yeah.
even got him his own breakfast cereal for a little
Yeah.
while. Oh wait a minute, no, that might not even been real. Was that real? I saw it on South Park, so I don't know if they're just making fun of it.
I have no idea. Jaleel White. Good
Yeah.
old Jaleel White.
I don't know. I don't see too many episodes of Family Matters. He might be hurting on royalties.
True. Yeah. No, but yeah. So the Twilight Zone sort of, I think, sparked a whole like genre of sci-fi where, I can't think of what was a sci-fi series that was on before that. There weren't any series on before that, too many, because there were only like 3 networks.
Yeah, I couldn't name any. I mean, it was well
only-
before our time, but
There's been even more like groundbreaking books. As far as television series are concerned, I think that might be it.
Yeah, because before that was like westerns and like just
Like radio shows. War of the Worlds, I guess, like had everyone scared shitless.
yeah, which is like a sci-fi radio series.
Everyone's ready to be all torches and pitchforks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's go fill up the street.
People just killed themselves.
We're
because
all
they thought it was
scared. Let's hang out in groups with sharp weapons.
yeah, well, that always solves everything.
No. Say violence is never the answer, but sometimes the answer is violence.
The Twilight Zone, though, it's just like such a well written series, and Rod Serling, I think, wrote most of the episodes, like probably 80% of the episodes.
Really?
And they'd have other people guest write episodes and things like that. And there were sometimes I remember there was a famous one that was an independent film that won like the Cannes Film Festival, and they just used it as a Twilight Zone episode. He was just like, oh yeah, we have like an import basically.
Oh, interesting.
This independent film, this French film, we're just
Well, it's easier for
show it.
them. All the work's already done. All they need to do is sign off on that.
right,
And
and
then
it's
they'll-
obviously free great publicity for that film.
And then they might have to give up a few points off the top, but
But yeah,
I
that was a
mean,
great one.
The money and royalties alone would pay for the fact that you wouldn't get an awful lot up front.
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, neither do I. It sounds like it though, right?
Sounds like that's how Hollywood works.
I have no clue.
But no, like one of the most.
But I have
amazing
theories.
things- Yeah. One of the most spectacular things about that show was the acting was like unbelievable because really, a lot of those Hollywood actors.
Well, they get their start. Like they like
Robert Redford was in one. Like he was deaf. I remember he was like there's
Like-
like an old woman.
like
and
how
she
these
wouldn't
hungry
let
actors
deaf
and
in.
actresses wanting to like make their way,
Mm-hmm.
and they end up being in some of these like iconic shorts.
Yeah.
Like everyone keeps referring to the one where the guy keeps getting interrupted because he wants to read his books. And then he's finally alone. Something kills all the people, and he smashes his glasses, and he can't freaking read any of the books.
Yeah, one's great.
That's just horrible irony.
And then he became Rocky's manager.
Oh, Burgess Meredith.
Yeah, that was Burgess Meredith.
Yeah.
That was?
He was also the Penguin in the Batman.
And he was
TV
Mr.
series.
Bevis. I said Bevis earlier.
Mr. Bevis.
I think that was his name. I know there was a Bevis. I might be confusing it with another one. Mr. Bevis.
Mr. Bevis was a real moron.
But yeah, I might be confusing him with another guy, but I think it was something along the lines of like a goofy last name that he had. But yeah, that one's amazing. He just wants to read his books. He just wants to be left alone, and the world ends.
He breaks his glasses, so he's boned.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, the show was just ahead of its time, so cutting edge, and it influenced a lot of other series that came afterwards. You know, first one that comes to mind for me would be The Outer Limits.
Rod Serling also had a show after Twilight Zone called Night Gallery. I don't know if a lot of people remember it, but I think it only ran for maybe 2 seasons.
Yeah. Was that the same kind of the same old?
They may have been longer. They may have like been an hour long or something like that, or at least the pilot was. But I can't really remember any specific episodes of it. But I think it was a little more dark, a little grittier, because a lot of those Twilight Zone episodes were they're almost goofy. Like some of them were kind of like lighthearted.
They definitely had like some campy episodes.
Yeah, they definitely were, and most of those campy episodes, I'm pretty sure, were Rod Serling written ones. But
starring Mr. Bevis.
Yeah. Mr. Bevis.
It's almost like Beavis.
Night Gallery was cool. I remember there was one. I think it was the first episode of Night Gallery. It was a Nazi who went to like South America after, you know, the Nuremberg trials and everything to escape.
They have a show about that. A friend of mine put that up on. He like has these DVRs of like shows. I guess History has a show called like Finding Hitler, and they got all these like private investigators and former detectives like I guess Obama declassified like 700 documents, and one of them says that Hitler ran off to Argentina.
Yeah,
and they were looking for him, but they just made it look like he died. So like everyone in the United States would be like warm and fuzzy about the end.
It is crazy, like.
And I guess he was just chilling out there. Argentina had like a large German population there, and they're
so
like
was Brazil,
because they had like pride as a culture. They took Hitler in, and they're like ready to do crazy stuff for him.
Yeah, I think there's a documentary about it called "The Boys from Brazil" or something like that. I haven't seen it yet though, but yeah, like basically, and there's still like Nazis down there. There's like, you know, thoroughbred like Aryan nation people that I think they did I forget, there was someone's pool or something behind their house, and there was like a pool that was shaped like a swastika and shit like that, like just crazy rich Nazi stuff.
It's like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Well, I guess the Argentinian
why would you
the Argentinian government just like Gus wants them there or something. I don't know, because you get these huge populations of people.
Yeah.
Down there that are just...
And they had a lot of money. They had a lot of Nazi gold, and they went down there, and they were like, yeah, this will help our economy. Let's just harbor Nazis.
Those are the people who got away. Oh, that must have been a real shot in the arm to have all these wealthy white people just willing to just spend money all day.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, really.
I don't know what Argentina does outside of play soccer and, like, raise cows.
I'm sure my girlfriend could shed some light on it, but she's out eating macaroni and cheese.
Oh, yeah. The great American delicacy, mac and cheese.
Don't tell her. Don't tell her it's not. She's like, I love mac and cheese. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Perfect. I can totally supply you with that.
You can supply her with all the macaroni and cheese or like heart desires.
Yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, it's like caviar.
People come over to the United States because that's what we're known for.
Yeah, it is kind of funny, the things. Like, she'll be like, oh, I wanted to come over here and go to a cheesecake factory. Like, that's that was like the big thing, is like coming to America and trying out Cheesecake Factory.
It's got a pretty long menu, but
yeah.
I mean, I personally, I love the Cheesecake Factory just because of the variety that you can get there. I mean, obviously, if you want cheesecake, if you're a cheesecake connoisseur, there's plenty there to choose from. But they have like all these breakfast items on the menu. They have like, you know,
they do
any kind of cuisine you could really think of. As it's just it's crazy. It's like whatever, you know, you go there, maybe you don't even know what you're in the mood for, and you find like 5 or 6 different things you want to order. It is just fantastic.
And that cheesecake is great.
Is it?
Yeah.
I've never been.
Yeah, it's good.
It's friggin' unbelievable. You know. I could do a whole episode just on the Cheesecake Factory alone. In fact, I'm hungry just thinking about it, but I suppose we have to talk about this shit.
The new sponsor of Vigilant Geek podcast, the Cheesecake Factory.
Oh, hell yeah. We would only be so lucky.
We really want to get like a comic book store to sponsor us just so like we could get free books. But I don't think that's ever going to happen.
A free meal at Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah, I don't think we have enough people listening right now to like
it's a grind.
Try to arrange something like that. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe there'll be future episodes, and everyone's like, "I'm listening now."
Hey,
you never know.
I got my own podcast. I'm trying to get. It takes a long time to get sponsors. I've been doing it for 3 years, and I don't have any sponsors. So,
how many people do you have? You might have to
like 50.
I think you gotta like make friends with douchebags whose whole point is to make friends on there.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you'll just be like, hashtag this and that, and come see my show and spend money on alcohol, so that my reputation gets good in the club and the owner likes me.
Someone was telling me the other day about a comedy club they went to where it was like free admission, and then the drinks. It's like, but it's a 2-drink minimum, and the drinks are like $12 each.
Yeah, so that's a great way to make money.
That's the scam.
See, the trick is just to not go out,
right?
And just stay home
and watch sci-fi series on Netflix.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Because that way, you're not getting that 2-drink minimum or any of that nonsense.
No, you can make your own drinks at home.
One show defeated by the 2-drink minimum is Firefly. They gave it a time slot at 9:00 at night on a Friday.
Oof.
And they didn't even let it finish its first season.
They didn't even let SmackDown on that time slot.
Yeah. No, it's just a bad place.
They moved it back to Thursday.
Because people fucking have lives and they go out on Fridays for the most part.
Yeah.
If Firefly got killed over it, it would have been great if it was like on a Tuesday. It'd probably still be going.
Yeah, no, Firefly is a fantastic program about a ragtag group of space hooligans that they get into. All they want to do is just find work to stay afloat, but they keep finding all sorts of trouble across the galaxy, and it's a really cool show. Nathan Fillion is a pretty awesome captain.
Anybody want some nuts?
I'd love some cashews. Thank you. Yeah, I haven't eaten much today. But anyways, yeah, I mean, it's got a very colorful cast. You got Marina Baccarin. She plays the whore who's on board paying rent.
Oh, but in the show, I guess space whores are highly regarded and treated like diplomats. So she's just going to planets to get laid by like men with a lot of money, and they're going to pay her to do it. But she's like the most respected person on the crew.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
I've never seen it.
No, it only ran for one season. It got canceled once again due to the time slot. Personally, because it's got such a strong cult following for a show that was only on TV for that short amount of time. I got to tell you, Joss Whedon is another one of those just out of the box thinkers that does a great job of creating sci-fis and different intricate plots, like.
Well, you saw a lot of that in. He took Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which was like the kind of this silly, like, I'm a 90s girl and I kill vampires, because that's the type of movies you'd see in like the 90s.
Right.
So he takes that and all of a sudden he turns the property into a show. He gets Sarah Michelle Gellar. And pretty much just her brutally killing vampires and demons, like the whole show. It'd have great plot. I mean, and then he created Angel, which was the spin-off series, and then that had great plot too. And they both tied in together, and they had crossover series, which is nice because it's nice to see a crossover that isn't DC or Marvel or a couple others. Like Star Trek is crossing over with like Green Lantern right now.
And the Flintstones.
Have they done that before?
No, but they probably. Didn't they do a crossover with the Jetsons and the Flintstones? Talking about sci-fi series, Jetsons.
Oh, yeah.
Those Hanna-Barbera crossovers.
Yeah.
I believe Wacky Races also had a few crossovers.
They probably did, and it was probably friggin' unbelievable.
I think Dudley Do Right and Rocky and Bullwinkle had some appearances on Wacky Races.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to tell tales out of school, but I think they had some. I think Dick Dastardly was on. You know?
Oh Jesus, yeah, the whole gang.
Was Dick Dastardly? I always get Dick Dastardly and Snidely Whiplash confused. Snidely Whiplash was.
That was Rocky Bullwinkle.
Okay, thank you. Dick Dastardly was on.
Wacky Racers. Yeah.
And so Wacky Races had their own characters.
Yeah, it was a cartoon. And speaking of cartoons, we are certainly planning on doing a cartoon oriented podcast very soon. But as to stay on task, we should probably keep talking about some of these sci-fis. What do you say, fellas?
All right.
What do you say, boys?
What's next? We have a list.
So we talked Firefly, and everyone else was eating nuts, so I was really the only one who talked about it. But
well, we could talk about it some more.
I just don't know it.
It was really good. I guess they canceled it like at the 8th episode, so a lot of people bought the DVDs to find out what happened at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
It's always had like a good following afterwards, but it's small enough that Joss Whedon can't really express the property any other way. I know that he's had his brother write a comic books for it, and I don't know if that's canon as far as the story is concerned, but it's the only new stuff coming out right now for it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess behoove us to keep our eyes peeled because you never know. But yeah, as of right now, the hardcore fans that the show did have suffered for quite some time now as a result of what happened to what had the potential of being just an epic sci-fi and was a very good one for the short amount of time it had on screen. But changing gears here, let's talk a little Marvel. We'll talk a little Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. here, which is Marvel's big sci-fi series that's on network. It's been on network TV. It's the 3rd season now, and obviously it has a lot of great sci-fi elements to it.
Yeah, I think like the first season was mostly full of like mad scientist stuff. They're going after minor like assets who creating things that would just fall into the wrong hands. And then once they use all those filler episodes, they made a bigger episode that was more about how like the crew and what's going on in Coulson's like unit, and then they tried to adopt it to Captain America Civil War. Because I guess the cinematic TV universe exists in the same timeline with the movies. Yeah. So they were doing that with that, and then they were kind of doing their own thing with the Inhumans in the 2nd season. And then there's like this break in between episodes where you're just expected to go out and see the movie for Avengers Age of Ultron.
Yeah, we better call in the Avengers. Yep, and then they called them in.
Yeah.
And then Ultron was defeated, and then that was that.
And they had a party.
They did.
Yeah, I don't watch I don't watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or I guess Marvel based.
Yeah.
I haven't watched any of those shows. Like
the first season was really slow, but the 2nd season was awesome. So
I loved all the Inhuman stuff.
I just watched that. The Inhuman stuff now is kind of good. I caught a little snippet on TV the other day. I guess the character Lash, which was actually just created in the Inhumans book by Charles Soule.
Cool.
He's like one of these Inhumans with like this crazy power set, and he's like wicked tough. And he was creating his own society, his own village of Inhumans. Since Inhumans have been turning in, like they're like regular people, and they get in contact with the Terrigen mists that are floating around the world. And then the strong ones go into cocoons, and then they come out with like they look weird sometimes, but they have crazy powers. And then they got 2 sides were trying to recruit them. And it turns out one of the main characters on the show, Skye, is actually an Inhuman, and she's the ability to like make matter
Earthquake.
Vibrate.
Yeah, she's her real name's Daisy Johnson, who's Marvel's Earthquake, who's actually a pretty prominent character, Avenger. She played a huge role in Infinity. She was involved with that. She was involved with...
She tagged up with Typhoon and the natural disasters back in the, I believe, like 1990, I want to say.
How long did they hold the tag belt? You know they had
Earthquake and Typhoon. You know, I'm not sure. I don't know my title reigns off the top of my head. But yeah, I think they did have it briefly. I could look it up.
You could, you know, and
although I think her name was John Tenta back then.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm pretty sure that she was a gigantic, like bald man. But you know, and for those of you that enjoy the world of professional wrestling as much as Nathan does, you can actually listen to Nathan go on and on about wrestling in our official WWE podcast episode here at the Vigilant Geek. I think it might have been episode 6 or 7, somewhere back there.
Yeah.
And I can guarantee that we'll be back here discussing wrestling again at some point.
Maybe around WrestleMania or Royal Rumble time.
You know,
I've been keeping up, kinda. My neighbor, he's got WWE Network, so I always go over for the pay-per-views.
It's great.
That's fascinating.
And if I wanna bring it all together, ECW had a short reign on the Sci-Fi Network. If anyone remembers.
Yeah, but it probably wasn't even half as good as the stuff on TNN.
No, well, they brought WWE, put ECW on Sci-Fi. And I think SmackDown's on Sci-Fi Network now still.
SmackDown is, yeah.
Oof. I don't think it matters. I think they're just relying on popularity right now. They're probably making way more money now that they have the app with the network.
I think that's probably what canceled Firefly was Friday Night SmackDown.
It might have been.
It could have been. It probably was.
Was it? No, it was on Thursdays back in early 2000.
Yeah, it started out on Thursdays and then it moved to Friday. I think it's back on Thursdays now.
Does it even matter? Is it like 2 different rosters or no?
No, not anymore.
No, well, they just got sick of that. They just decided to give people more camera time.
Yeah, exactly. It's just an extension of the...
New Day's hilarious.
Oh, they're so good.
It's so random, man.
We'll talk about that in another episode.
What are we talking about? Shield?
Well, yeah,
Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose.
We were
and Seth Rollins, the Shield.
We were talking Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. For those of you who are interested in the world of professional wrestling and would like to hear more about what Nathan Burke has to say on the topic, feel free to reference our WWE podcast episode on the Vigilant Geek podcast.
It's about now for wrestling stuff from the cashew gallery rather than the peanut gallery.
Yeah,
oh, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
eating cashews up here.
You know, moving on. You know, I don't know. We talked to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and you know, I have not personally seen any of season 3 yet, but I've seen seasons 1 and 2, and I thought it was fantastic. I thought what they have pulled from source material and different comic books in the past, you know, I thought that they did a good job with what they pulled from that source material, and also I thought they did a great job of what, you know, some of the new stuff that they created on the show as well. Obviously, the Deathlock they chose to use in season 1, you know, is different than the one in the comic books. You know, little things like that. But as a whole, I really have come around to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 2 blew me away. And I'm excited to see what else there is in store for that. Now, gentlemen, I suppose we should draw our attention towards something a little more lighthearted and get a few chuckles out of what we have to say about Rick and Morty.
Oh, Rick and Morty, Rick and Morty, Rick and Morty.
And there's a good way to segue from what we were talking about Twilight Zone. There was actually an episode of Rick and Morty, which is like sort of a Twilight Zone thing. The devil with the shop.
I love Rick and Morty because they always have like great stuff like that. Mm-hmm. They're always making shout outs and then they're just kind of spitting in its face.
Yeah.
In this particular episode, Summer ends up getting a job at like this old antique shop where the guy doesn't charge anybody anything. They just take it, and then like usually the item's cursed, and like they end up being miserable.
It's like one of those things like, oh, you'll pay the price for it. Like
yeah.
That's sort of like, you know, it has like a cursed item.
So like Rick gets shitty because like he hands him a microscope and he brings it back and he's a wicked good scientist. So he goes ahead and he scans it and is like, if I end up looking into this microscope, I'm going to become retarded. And Morty's all like, no, that's not really nice to say, Rick, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, Morty, literally. And then like he gets all pissed at the devil guy. So he goes and he's using his science to like change all these items.
To take the curse out of things.
Yeah. So what was it?
So he opens a shop across the street from this like...
Called Curse Away. It's like, have your items modded into something extremely usable for cash. And he comes over and the guy's going out of business. Like the devil was trying to commit suicide and Summer had to use the monkey's paw in order to save him.
And he's like, I know I'm the devil, but Rick's the most evil person ever.
But he's the devil.
But he's the devil, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a great episode. Then he just gets bored, burns the place down.
And I mean, that whole show is pretty much like in the same idea of that like every episode has like a different
yeah. I mean, you could watch them out of order easily.
Theme to it.
But like if you do watch them in order, there's this subtle stuff that goes on in the background.
Yeah, there is an underlying story.
You're slowly learning everybody's backstory.
Well, what's the overall premise of the show, may I ask?
All right, so there's this family. There's the daughter who's a horse surgeon, and then there's Jerry who's like does marketing. He's kind of a loser. Then there's the older sister, Summer, and then there's Morty, the kind of like low IQ grandson. And then so Rick comes back out of nowhere. He disappeared from the mom's life, you know. So she ends up like coming back. So he's getting away with murder around there, and Jerry's getting wicked pissed. But what happens is that he'll go and be like, "Come on, Morty, we're gonna go," and then he'll grab Morty and take him on all these like adventures where they almost always die. And then it's hilarious.
It is a hilarious show, and yeah, basically it's like they travel through like space and time and different dimensions, and there's a lot of themes like that they come back to, that there's different Ricks and different Mortys in other dimensions. And they sort of interchange
oh
with
my
them.
god, yeah, the Council of Ricks.
Yeah.
Okay, so the main mode of transportation that Rick has to get around is he's got this flying car, right? But he also has this portal gun, and this portal gun allows you to go to like different places, it's kind of like Doctor Who's box. You can go to any place in any universe is what you do with this portal gun. So like across like the greater galaxy, all the Ricks were getting hassled by the federal government, so they all formed their own council called the Council of Ricks. And then the Rick that we follow as part of the storyline, like he thinks they all hate him because he's like, I'm too cool for your dumb club. I'm the original Rick. Fuck all you.
Yeah,
I'm Rick.
And every Rick has a Morty to counterbalance his intelligence.
Yeah, like his intelligence waves can be detected with the device. Mm-hmm. So what they do in order to like counteract that, every Rick needs a Morty in order to be the perfect camouflage, so that they won't get spotted by the radar. Morty gets all butthurt.
Mm. The writing on that show is spectacular, and it's just the right amount of lowbrow.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's like very smart, and it's very like intelligently written, just the plot and everything. But it's just the right amount of just like fart humor as well.
Oh, it's amazing.
That it's like just
you see the one with
series.
like they're at a pawn shop and Rick's arguing with the shop owner, and like Morty's really trying to get him to buy this robot, and it's like a sex robot.
Sex doll, yeah.
So everyone's downstairs eating breakfast,
yeah,
and you can just hear the thumping going on upstairs because Morty is just nailing the shit out of this robot. And then all of a sudden the robot comes on and it pops out a baby, and everyone's freaking out. Like Rick wants to kill it. And then, like, Morty ends up having to raise the Gazorpazorp, because that's what it is.
This alien baby.
Yeah. So they get kidnapped by the women on the planet, and then Rick farts, and then they sentence him to death. But, like, they become such a peaceful society, they don't know how to kill him.
Mm. Or, he'll be the first
You
man
did the thing that which cannot be, said.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't exist.
Yeah. It's a hilarious show.
Oh, yeah. No,
highly right. And it's, like, next to Adventure Time. Like, I love Adventure Time, and I got into Rick and Morty after that. It's like... It's almost like an adult sci-fi version to Adventure Time's like more fantasy, like PG tone, even though Adventure Time obviously has some adult themes to it.
But yeah, Adventure Time does kind of have
Undertones.
some different worlds. Like they have the fire world, and you got like the deep forest stuff. He goes in outer space. He's got the frosty ice kingdom. You got the
and it becomes
like the candy people.
It becomes so complex and
the
like,
nuts.
Yeah,
it really has gotten like there's so many different characters that like reappear on that show all the time.
it's like this other level of just.
I mean, it goes on for 5 seasons, and you find out that you're not watching some silly like mystical, like fantasy show. Like it's a futuristic dystopia because like everyone there exists is what happened after the aftermath. Like
Right.
human beings mutated to look like candy.
I think
Wow,
the idea,
I didn't know that there was that deep of a backstory to it.
It's dark.
yeah, there's like a post-nuclear war type of thing where I think like all the radiation made things come alive like candy and just all sorts of different things.
Then like it's like it turns out that the main characters are actually Ice King and Marceline because they're the only people who survived from that era.
Yeah.
So where does Finn and Jake come into play? Like
They're
we kind of don't know yet, really. I mean, they
Jake's the only human, so he's got to be special somehow. You'd think.
you mean Finn?
Is it Finn?
Finn.
Jake's the dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a pretty cool dog, but he's not the only human. The only human is
And
Finn.
there are wars between what was it, the unicorns or the rainicorns and the dogs, and they do this whole episode about like how how like dogs and rainicorns hate each other.
yeah. Well, they have like something, and like Jake doesn't know if he should still be together with Lady Rainicorn.
It's but it becomes so much more of like this weird theological thing in later seasons where they start getting into people's backstories and they start talking about like you feel sympathy for the Ice King because he used to be a scientist.
There used to be a
Until-
guy named Simon,
Yeah.
and then like the only way that he could control the weather is if he wore that crown, but the crown slowly drove him insane.
Yeah.
That's why he acts like a silly kid who's always just kidnapping princesses all the time.
And like and basically he helped stop like this nuclear bomb from going off by putting the crown on or something like that, and there's this whole
He's like a
crazy
wicked big
backstory.
hero, but he's turned into like a
doesn't know.
creepy old man, and everyone's just like, "Oh, it's the Ice King. He's trying to kidnap me again." Oh.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys know this part of it, but yeah, the crown backstory is like this, like like hundreds of thousands of years ago, there was this like wizard that had that crown, and he had an assistant named Gunther. And that's where it comes from.
So that's why he keeps calling the penguin Gunther.
Yeah, and he idolized this wizard, and then they were in some dire situation with like a meteor that was the coming of Orgolorg or whatever that they later discussed too. But you guys got to get caught up in this.
Yeah.
super
No, I
complex
mean it's still fun to talk about.
thing.
That's
But
crazy
it's,
good.
And he puts the crown on, and basically he's just like, you just have it grants like anything that you want to be. Like, so his ideal thing is to be this wizard. So it's not like the powers of that wizard necessarily, but it's his perception of being that wizard.
Oh.
So it's like this sort of like warped version of a wizard. So that's like where the powers of Ice King come from.
I want to know where the backstory of his wife is, because his wife ends up jumping through a time portal into the future to try to save Simon.
Yeah.
And she ends up jumping into the middle of this like giant magic sucking thing, and looked like she was getting ready to throw down with this evil thing that was giving everybody who, like all the powerful magic users in OO like a fits. There, it was like kind of an Age of Ultron event where you gotta like get the Avengers together to go ahead and go after something.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah.
And I think she shows up in another episode after that too.
What's her name? She ended up going insane because like every time you use magic, you're sacrificing something, because what you're doing is unnatural, so it takes away from something. And in the Ice King's case, it was his sanity, and I think the same thing happened to her.
Oh, you know what else is a magic crown or hat? Is a Magic Man's hat.
I think
that little hat that Magic Man
I
has?
think she tricked him to giving her his powers in that episode.
Magic Man,
No, Magic Man just doesn't
like,
have them anymore, and now she's got them, but she's completely insane because she has them.
She became Magic Man, basically.
Yeah. It's strange.
It's so crazy. Like, because it started off as just like a ridiculous
and then now they're giving it like
show, and now they're like adding these dimensions to like
what's
these
been on
minor characters.
It's been on 5 years, so now they're just like introducing these people growing up with the show to these more complex concepts.
Yeah.
And they probably know that parents are watching it too, so like they're finally like bringing up the IQ on the show so adults will watch cartoons with their kids.
It's just funny how they like backtrack and they'll go back to this character that was in one episode in like the first season. They'll be like, "Oh, we're gonna make sense of this now. We're gonna show how this fits into the entire plot."
I wonder what they're
important.
Remember, like that the Asian Star Trek guy. He did a voiceover for the
heart
for cardio.
George Takei?
I believe it was. Yeah,
it was.
That was supposed to be Ice King's heart.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, I knew that.
Yeah, so this is weird. Did he cast a spell or something, and that happened, and his heart became more evil than he is, and just went on a spree?
Yeah, I don't know. I forget that one.
Maybe they never revisited that.
Maybe not, but he was in like 2 episodes, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I saw this one out of order of like Lemongrab's Kingdom.
And oh my god, all the lemon grab stuff is hilarious.
Oh, I love lemon grab.
It's so deranged. the lemon grab kingdom, like the lemon kingdom.
Oh my god,
is so screwed up.
3 hours of conditioning. Dungeon, 10 years dungeon. Yeah, like he's technically like Bubblegum Princess's firstborn because she created him in a lab.
Yeah.
And then he started his own kingdom because he like she gave him the formula to like create life, basically.
I know, right?
And he starts changing all the like lemon things into like these just screwed up like monsters.
And Finn and Jake have to like get this one that's actually good at stuff.
Lemon Hope.
Lemon Hope. Little Lemon Hope.
Yeah. And then and all the other lemon creatures are just like these just disgusting things, and they're just like bleh.
Oh yeah, because lemon grabs just can't like make stuff. Like what happened? There were 2 of them.
And then he eats one. Like
dude, he always ends up eating them. One is wicked fat, and then the other one's like skinny and weak.
I think he cloned, or she made another one so they could be friends or something like that. And then
one was the good one, and the other one was like the extremely evil one.
Yeah, and basically, the fat one ended up like trying to eat the skinny one.
I think that ends up like happening.
Yeah,
but he like lets him escape somehow.
It's so like just screwed up, all the lemon stuff. It's so funny though.
Oh yeah, well, like at first it was just them like pranking him, and then now he's become this like despot.
Yeah, and I forget how it ended up. Actually, I forget how the last episode ended. I think Lemon Hope might have come back. I forget actually.
I don't know. I think the most recent one I saw is like they end up in the 3D room with the 2D man on the wall, and like he grants wishes, and I guess like something to do with all the stones on the princess's crowns opens up this portal to this place where you can make a request and it comes true. And they end up like going into the dystopia and end up getting harassed by like a biker gang at a Fist of the North Star.
I don't remember that one. I know the character Prismo, the one that's like the pink guy that's on the wall and he's just like flat.
Yeah. And then they talk about the owl of
Cosmic Owl.
The Cosmic Owl. That's like supposed to be a thing. They brought it up once, and then it turns out like the Cosmic Owl just shows up and he starts like having like small talk with Prismo. Like these are the beings that control the universe.
He's like drinking a coffee. There's one where he's like watching just everything that's going on in the universe.
Yeah, he's lucky. Jake's like he's a nice guy, but Jake's so lucky because he's just like, I really want a sandwich. It's like, I can make you a sandwich. He's got all these like. Jake could make anything true, but like he's seeing what's happening to Finn down on Earth, and like he's not like an adventurer, and everything's more serious.
Yeah.
And then like it turns out that the Ice King in that reality, the Ice King the bomb landed on him, so he froze it to keep it that way. And then there's this evil grandma that's there, and it's and it turns out it's like Marceline.
Oh, yeah.
Like Marceline goes off the deep end and tries to eat people because like Simon isn't there to keep her like from going full vampire and just like killing everyone.
There's so many like complex plots on that show now.
Yeah.
And it's awesome.
I think it reset itself though. But that's like pretty cool how they like tied in all the little jewels and stuff on the crowns.
Yeah, it's very cool. And then they're doing more stuff with like the Martian colony and everything.
I haven't seen anything on that.
Abraham Lincoln's the king.
I gotta
of
get
Mars.
caught up.
Oh yeah.
I'll catch like random episodes and like Finn will have like the grass sword and like other random stuff.
Yeah, and that is a show like you can watch Rick and Morty like just anywhere really, but like Adventure Time, you have to watch it in order pretty much to understand what's going on.
Well, you do
Especially
now.
At this point.
At the beginning episodes, it was like, oh, you can watch it casually. But now that like they've gotten so in depth on some of these bigger ideas and these bigger plot lines,
and you can usually tell what season you're in by like if like what Finn has for a sword or if he has an arm.
Yeah, I mean they always have a main plot that they're following with these like these misadventures that they're having.
Yeah, it's very weird.
It's
I
almost
can't.
hard to follow
it's
sometimes.
silly, but it's good.
Yeah, no, I can't wait to catch up.
It's definitely one of the best, like most complex and most intelligent series like on TV. Never mind just being a cartoon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I tell you, it's a real doozy.
Yeah. So, Andrew, are you caught up on Flash?
Yeah, I'm caught up on Flash, except for last week's episode. But yeah, the Flash would be another awesome sci-fi television show. I mean, it's also happens to be based off of one of my favorite comic books. But yeah, I've been watching it since the very beginning, and it's been just fantastic. It's you know, they've done so many cool story arcs already with the Flash. You know, they did the Flash of Two Worlds story arc, the kickoff season 2. Last season, they sort of did their own play on the Flashpoint paradox, or Flashpoint. You know, that whole arc. Lots of really cool stuff. Reverse Flash was like the big bad guy of last season, and he was just an awesome, probably my favorite villain from the small screen, like ever. Just so treacherous and evil and awesome. And then this season, they just they're doing this big thing with Zoom. Zoom's the big bad guy for season 2, and how he's sort of he's come from Earth 2, and he's got all these nasty surprises for Barry Allen. He wants to eliminate speedsters.
Yeah.
You know, and
The Flash has got a pretty big rogues gallery.
oh god, yeah. I mean besides
just with the even the types of reverse flashes they have, that's a pretty long list.
oh god, yeah. I mean, and I personally I even get confused a little here and there. You know, you have Professor Zoom, Reverse Flash, Eobard Thawne, Zoom, and it's like it can get confusing to, you know.
You think they're just
telling who's who?
You think they're just trying to reinvent the character? I mean, there are a lot of villains who use the Speed Force, but like Reverse Flash, kind of like the it's kind of like the anti-Flash. Although knowing Flash, there probably is a character named the Anti-Flash.
Yeah, probably.
He probably just hasn't showed up in print in like ages.
Yeah. No, it's been very cool though. They just showed sort of what Zoom's gonna look like this season, and just, you know, he looks gruesome, just a real evil looking SOB. I can't wait to see what's gonna happen with him. But yeah, it's just one of those series that really took off almost immediately when it started last year. It sort of came out of the episodes of Arrow where Barry Allen had guest starred. Grant Gustin had guest starred as Barry Allen. And then, you know, it was pretty easy to predict that there was going to be a Flash series that spawned out of that. And it has just been... It's been a crazy ride. Yeah, you mentioned the Flash's Rogues Gallery. They've already, gone through quite a bit of that, but it's such a big rogues gallery that they do have, they have ways to go as well.
I mean, quietly, it probably has the second biggest rogues gallery in comics. Because, Batman's just got an enormous rogues gallery. There are rogues in that gallery that, people don't even see very often.
Oh, I know it.
It's kind of like you got to pick your favorites. There's so many to choose from.
What about Rogue? Does she have a big rogues gallery?
No.
Woohoo!
No. Well,
she's struggling to remain
Sorry, I wanted to say something stupid.
To remain relevant. Because she's in these team books, but she doesn't show up in anything else. She's not strong enough to hold her own book, I don't think.
Nah, not a strong enough character. Maybe if they took that blouse off, then that'd be something different. But then you'd have to deal with the comics code, and we wouldn't want to do that.
Rod Serling
either.
has a big night gallery. That was the show we talked about earlier. Night gallery.
Oh.
Carry on.
Nathan's in pun mode.
Mm-hmm. I am in pun mode.
Well, anyways, I don't know. If you
like the Punisher.
Right. If you like The Flash, you can watch The Flash. It's on the CW, and it's great. Next up, let's talk a little Doctor Who there, Holdy.
All right. Yeah. So Doctor Who, it's been going on since the 70s. They got a more modern take of it on TV right now. It started sometime after 2000. It could be anything within 15 years, really. But anyways, the more recent ones, the backstory is all the Time Lords died except for one, and he calls himself Doctor Who. And they have it so that at the end of one whole season, when the contract's up, they built this thing into the story where the Doctor can do a thing called regenerate to survive from dying, but he ends up becoming a different person or actor.
Right.
So they have it so that they have one person, he comes in, he plays Doctor Who, he gets sick of it. They're like, all right, eat a dick because we're not paying you extra money to keep you here. We'll just get somebody else.
Yeah.
and then they always pick a companion for Doctor Who. It's always a human from Earth. I don't know too much about him. I've only really watched the first season and some of the second season. But that's the premise, and it just goes on for a long time. And then there are certain alien races that the Doctor ends up fighting, the Cybermen and the Daleks, and they're always running around. They're these little orbs that look like a really old vacuum cleaner, and they got this weird stem thing poking out of their body, and it shoots laser blasts, and they just decimate things.
That's pretty rad.
And they sound like lemon grabs. They're always like, exterminate! And they're rolling around trying to kill stuff. They're all about just genocide.
Wow.
And Doctor Who has to deal with them. The same thing with Cybermen. Cybermen want to turn regular people into robots.
Now, is he called Doctor Who because it's who the hell is playing this guy this time, kind of deal, or what?
Everyone just calls him the Doctor. Nobody knows who he is.
Oh, so it's Doctor Who, Doctor Who,
Doctor Whom?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that is very interesting. How about Star Trek?
I don't know.
How about?
I guess they got a new show, I guess, coming on. It's supposed to be on the CBS watching app. I guess there's an app you pay for to watch CBS stuff, or maybe they're just making you get cable. You have to have cable and then you can watch it on the internet because it's an internet only series.
I don't know much about Star Trek whatsoever. Nuts.
Nope. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to be like. They haven't announced anybody. I guess one of the writers is producing it from one of the guys who did the movies, but I don't even know who they're going to use.
I think it was J.J. Abrams that's doing it. Am I right on that?
He's been doing the movies, but I don't think he has anything to do with the show.
He doesn't? Oh, okay. Hey, what about the Star Trek The Next Generation there?
Oh, yeah. No,
yeah, what about that?
I've been watching reruns lately.
Yeah, tell us a little about the reruns, man.
Yeah, I watched one today.
I want to hear about the new ones.
I don't know anything about the new ones, but in this episode I watched today, they went down to this planet, and it was about to explode, so they go and they pick up all these refugees who are from Ireland, so they're space Irish people. And they're like
the space Irish.
And they're feeding their pigs hay and stuff in one of the cargo bays, and they don't know where to put them. And then they went to this other world where like only 5 people survived, so they kept cloning themselves. And they wanted the DNA of everyone on the ship to like so that the people on the planet, they'd have more people, you know?
Right.
And then like they've cloned a clone too many times, so they're like they have they're diseased or something. So then they like introduced them to the Irishman, and the clones are supposed to like repopulate. And then they said something about each male is supposed to have 3 kids from 3 individual mothers, so that the gene pool will get more random, and there won't be, you know, Egypt Nile babies.
Yeah.
Just
right.
Yep. And then the clone people ended up stunning Riker and the Doctor Janeway, and they stole some of their stomach lining DNA, and then they were gonna make clones out of them, and yeah, that never worked.
Now, who is your favorite Star Trekker?
As far as
ever.
Is this like an app, Star Tracker?
Yeah, well, that's what they're out there trekking the stars there.
I don't know. I don't have a favorite character. I usually just watch and hope that like they end up in some sort of space battle. They get involved with like complex politics.
But if you had
to
to choose one,
I don't know.
I feel like I mean, if I don't want to jump to this already, but Stargate is a very similar premise.
Stargate.
I feel like it's almost like a Star Trek ripoff in a lot of ways.
How do you figure? They're just using the portal instead of the ship?
Pretty much. Like they go to different worlds where like it's pretty much a human civilization, because the idea of it being back in ancient times, these aliens went to Earth, and they took people from Earth at different from different places, and sort of on these other worlds they built these civilizations that evolved at different rates.
Doesn't it like link in like all the stuff the Egyptians did? Because everyone's still saying that like reproducing some of that stuff would be impossible today.
Right. Like they say it's like from that they use like slave labor and things like that as
like the Egyptians.
It was like a slave trade where they brought people to different worlds, and there's some civilizations that evolved way past the point we are. There's some that are still like stuck in the Middle Ages, like depending on just how they.
Yeah, didn't they have that alien race that was like these worms that like these parasites
like
that take over your body?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
that's something else, I tell you.
Yeah, no, it was good.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't remember some
what
of the finer
they were like
plot
called the
points of it,
Goa'uld.
Yeah, the Goa'uld, yeah.
And they'd all cut like that's why they showed up, and the Egyptians treated them like gods. Like one of them's named Ra.
Yeah. There's
so
like
the person
Ra.
died, but like the actual Ra is this worm that's in the body.
Right. Like all those Egyptian gods are still around. Like there's and they explain a lot of other gods that people worship, like the like Nordic gods.
Yeah, isn't Thor like one of those white aliens with the big eyes?
Yeah, like the Norse mythology is basically like the stereotypical
the Asgard. Isn't that what they called them?
Yes, exactly, the Asgard.
Yeah, the Thor turns out to be this like 4-foot tall alien, and he's like in charge.
Yeah. And yeah, so each like major religion sort of has basis in some alien life, and it's kind of an interesting premise.
That is very interesting.
You can get into. My problem is I never watched it in order. It was always on Saturday or on like Sundays when Fox wouldn't have football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then I just end up watching it then. It's a weird place being on the weekend for new episodes. I think they ended up putting it on. Well, actually, it originated on Showtime.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a
What,
Showtime
SG1?
original. Yep. And then it moved to Sci-Fi Channel.
Was it like, did it start off as like a movie or like a miniseries?
Well, I don't know. The pilot episode might have been 2 hours.
Yeah.
But I mean, it piggybacked off of all the stuff that happened in the movie of the same name.
Right.
I actually think the show's better than the movie. And the movie wasn't bad, but all they do is they just kind of build upon all the ideas that they had in the movie with all these aliens. The special effects kind of took a bit of a hit, but back then when you paid for special effects, it looked great.
Yeah. So like, I guess what I mean as far as like they kind of ripped off Star Trek in the way that there's different worlds that they go to that like represent a certain
Right.
Earth civilization at a
Yeah,
certain,
they
at a
always-
certain time period. It's either like a futuristic one or a. Like,
They
it's
always
like,
go
oh,
back.
This one's like feudal Japan. You know, it's like just.
That's
It's a
an
lot of
interesting
that
idea.
type of stuff.
Yeah, they're kind of like these, like this group of like especially qualified individuals for this like dark ops plan, and like the whole thing's like financed by the U.S. government and the Air Force, and then like they have this bunker underground where they just have this portal where they send people out to do recon missions
Yeah.
to see if people are safe or not. So like they got this portal like locked and loaded on like at all times, just in case someone else opens it from another end and shows up at their doorstep.
Yeah.
It gets good.
Yeah, it's a cool idea.
They have like, you know, they have their one issue episode things, but then they're always talking about this main thing. I'm like, that's like something they do on TV a lot,
Oh yeah.
you know, with stories. Unless it's like all stories. I don't know. It's pretty good.
It's a fun show.
It has Richard Dean
And I
Anderson.
watched, yeah.
Yeah.
And I watched Stargate Atlantis too, which I actually kind of forget what the initial plot of it was, but I think there was another world that was Atlantis.
I couldn't keep up. Sci-fi's got stuff that's good sometimes, and sometimes it got stuff that like isn't that great.
I think Atlantis was a much shorter, maybe like 2 seasons or something. I forget.
Yeah. Well, it's been a while. And then they got Farscape.
I never saw that.
Yeah.
Oh, enlighten us about a little bit of Farscape there.
Sure. So Farscape was actually this story about another ragtag crew of aliens who are all pretty much on the run from the law on this living spaceship called a Leviathan. It's a space creature, but they can hang around inside it, and have the oxygen controlled and everything.
Oh, that's pretty neat, actually.
And then they're on the run from these this one like galactic entity of like organization, and he's trying to get back home because what happened is the spaceman, he ended up going through a black hole, and he ended up getting spit out at the far end of the universe. So now he's on the crew of the Moya trying to get back. It's been a pretty good show. And then like Jim Henson did all the puppets.
Oh,
Neat.
nice. So, so it feels like Labyrinth.
A little bit, but like they have like their space swears, you know, like you know how they make up swears on Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh yeah.
They do that on Farscape too.
That's always fun.
So it's like it's got all these silly puppets, but it's supposed to be a sci-fi that obviously that humans can enjoy.
They did that on Battlestar Galactica as well. Frack was a big their curse word.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah, another infamous sci-fi there in Battlestar Galactica.
I actually kind of have a silly story about why I watched all of Battlestar Galactica and the Stargate series. I actually worked at a grocery store working overnight doing stocking shelves and stuff like that, and sometimes the load of products we'd have to stock were lighter than others, and the other guy I worked with, it was just a 2-man operation. We'd be locked in there all night for 8 to 10 hours. And he brought a little mini DVD player with him, and he would just bring in all his Battlestar Galactica and Stargate, and we would just watch them and take 3-hour breaks and steal food and eat it up in there in the break room.
American Dream.
Yeah, it was a pretty sweet gig, but I guess they installed cameras in the break room after I left, so I got out at the nick of time.
I got out at the right time.
So
yeah,
I watched all those. Yeah. Doing that.
Killing your trill.
Interesting enough, you're able to see most of Battlestar Galactica. That's another real popular one. The battle against the Cylons.
It's a very good series. I liked it a lot. Basically I think there was an old movie in the 70s that was that was the same thing there.
It was a show of the same name.
Mm-hmm.
Then it was on. And then from what I know, they just decided to reboot it. And so it's kind of the same premise.
Yeah. And there was basically there was this war between the robots and the human race, and then the human race finally won, and then so Stargate Battlestar Galactica takes place after that war, and they don't have electronics anymore. They don't use anything electric.
Well, at the beginning,
like all the phones are like landline phones, stuff like that, because they don't want to use anything that's robotic that can be controlled by or like hacked into by this.
Right.
Yeah.
By the Cylons.
The Cylons are an AI that was created by human beings and then it just decided that like human beings didn't need to exist.
Right.
So they steal all the launch codes, and they're on like 5 different colonies, and everybody from the colonies had to get off world in ships because he had the nuke codes and he just nuked everybody.
Yeah.
So the Cylons, they just pack nukes. They're robots. They don't care about radiation. It doesn't really affect them.
Oh, yeah.
So they're flying on. They get their robot fighters, and they just decimated the fleet because they hacked into it somehow. So like they could still use the old models. They were about to, like, the Galactica is a ship that's pretty much about to be just like decommissioned, and turned into a museum, and then they all of a sudden need it. So it's like falling apart, but then like it's the only ship they have. And like they have the only like fighters that will be able to like take out other fighters because they're like kind of low.
Commander Adama needs to take
low
charge
level
of the ship again, which is played by Edward James Olmos.
Yeah. Oh, a fantastic performance by Edward James Olmos. He is as valiant as he's ever been as the role of what was his name again?
Adama. I forget if it's General or Commander Adama.
Commander or whatever.
Captain.
Yeah.
It's probably something naval. I don't know. I never noticed.
But it's interesting because they come back as like these humanoid life forms. Not humanoid. They're like, they have like
They
skin.
upgraded their tech. It's very Terminator in the style of the story. Only it's in space.
Right. And so they have to figure out who's a Cylon.
There's like 5
of the series.
There's 5 models, and like they're trying to figure out who among them is a Cylon.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the Asian chick.
Yeah, and then the blonde girl. It was like in the first episode. You
the
find
blonde
out immediately who's
the blonde robot's the one that seduced this doctor into getting all the launch codes and everything.
I love that doctor. That he's hilarious in the.
Well, he's always seeing her. Like,
Yeah.
Did they ever end up explaining that? Did he lose his mind, or did she have some weird like link with him?
The way they ended it was kind of weird, and I think there's a lot of people who watched the series that were kind of like, "Oh, what? Really? It's kind of like a." Well, then feels like it was a little hastily thrown together. The explanation.
How did Caprica fit in?
Oh, the show?
Yeah, because that was
like
a spinoff.
Prequel. It was like it was the world before the Cylons attacked again. So it was like how Cylons sort of came to exist, I think, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like someone built a robot, and then they had this second life like online.
It was an AI.
It was an AI. And
they created an AI, and then the AI just perpetuated itself and kept building itself bigger.
Like think of it this way, that game like Second Life where you'd have like a life online. Remember that?
No.
Well, like any game like that. Like
what? Like they have on the Wii where you got your little character there, or they have it on PlayStation Home
or anything like that. Like The Sims, whatever you want to call it. But it was more like, oh, I have this Second Life online. Like there's these online clubs where you can just go in. It's like virtual reality. Like you just go into this other world that doesn't exist, but it's all, it's an online world. And so they took the brain, like this girl died, I think it started out as, and then the father of her found her account on that online world and like basically took her account and like all her experiences on there and like put her into a robot.
Sounds like an anime.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it's, that kind of premise. But I don't think that lasted long. I think that got canceled after a season as well.
I think it might have been meant to be a miniseries. The Dune miniseries was amazing in the late 90s, early 2000s, late 90s.
Didn't see it.
It was a miniseries. I read the books, and it was pretty accurate. It's wicked long, though. It's 3 parts, and each part's like 3 hours. But it's wicked good. It follows the book.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah. Words.
Wow.
Cool.
Well, we also have a couple of animes that fall into the sci-fi category that we were looking to discuss this week. We wanted to talk a little bit about Gundam Wing.
It's Gundam Wing.
Or
Say
Gundam
it
Wing,
right.
sorry, and Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah. Well, Gundam is, I forget who made up the concept, but Gundam will have this, each story kind of has to deal with, because they just tell different stories based on the premise over and over again. Like they'll have all these different series,
Yeah, they
but
had
like
a bunch of them.
the original one was like Mobile Suit Gundam, and there are these people who like grew up in space, so like they're really good at like moving around in 3D gravity, so they're wicked dangerous when piloting these mechs called mobile suits.
Giant robots, you know, common theme in anime, giant robots.
So these people in outer space from the colonies, they don't have as many supplies, but they're like far more competent pilots, and they're like the Federation's getting their ass handed to them. So they go ahead and they create the Gundam, which is supposed to be like the mobile suit of like mobile suits. It's like the Cadillac.
And like it's like the type of material it's made out of, isn't it? Like
it's damn near invincible, and like the thing's got a shield, it's got a beam gun, and then it's got this beam sword where it just cuts up other mechs. Mm-hmm. So what happens is one of these kids from the colonies ends up becoming a pilot for the Federation, and he's just like, all he wants to do is stop the war. So it's like him fighting against the colonies, and like he's pushing the colonies back single-handedly with this mech. He's that good of a pilot, plus the mech's that good. Like Gundam is just amazing. And then they go, and then they have a conclusion of the season, but they have different series based on this premise, and I forget, they got so many different ones. I know one of them.
Gundams or series?
Different series for Gundam.
Yeah.
And they were able to market a lot of action figures from what I remember too.
Oh yeah.
Just based off the different suits and stuff, you know.
You can be spending some pretty big money on just a figurine of this that's like a model.
My
like,
friend used to
with
get
little
the models.
intricate pieces.
Yeah, and used to be like a little project.
They're pretty cool. You'd need like a decent amount of space to have them, but they look awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then they came up with some pretty cool ideas for what a mobile suit should be.
Yeah. Who was the death one? The one with the scythe there?
I don't know. I never watched much Gundam Wing. I was always like pissed because Miramax didn't end up getting Cartoon Network until I was in high school.
You know, I just realized I said the death one with the scythe. I think his name was Death Scythe.
That makes sense.
I think
Death Scythe
might have been. Be a good name for a metal band too.
Oh yeah, we better tell Mike.
Yeah,
Gundam Wing was I don't know. I always wanted to watch that one. I never got around to it. It's not on Netflix either.
What, Gundam Wing?
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I remember I think I watched all of Gundam Wing. I didn't watch any of the other series.
I heard it had a wicked scattered plot, and it was like wicked hard to follow.
Oh yeah, it was. I remember.
But it's still like giant robots fighting each other.
It's only wicked hard to follow if you're a noob.
Oh man.
I remember when I played The Sims, I downloaded these mods for The Sims.
Did you make them look like Gundams?
I had a Gundam one, and whatever his name was, the main character there. I forget what his name was.
Hero Yui or something. I believe
Yeah,
that was what
and
it
I
was.
had him, and I had like
Captain Condom.
and I had a bunch of Dragon Ball Z characters and different things like that. That was very silly.
You gotta have hobbies.
Yeah, it was fun.
Important.
Good times.
You gotta have something to do to keep you from killing yourself.
Yeah. I mean, anime's got a lot of good space operas.
They really do.
Cowboy Bebop tends to be like kind of up there with what the standard should be for animation.
Yeah, that's kind of like the popular one. It's almost like the like celebrated independent film of anime.
It kind of is. Well, I mean, one season it had like 20-something episodes. Mm-hmm. So like you really get to know these characters in one season, and then they complete it.
Yeah, and they do like a solid episode about each character pretty much at some point.
Yeah, and then they have different story arcs, and it meshes together really well. You got pretty much 4 main characters. Edward, who's a girl who dresses like a guy, it's like a kid.
Like a tomboy, and she's a hacker.
And she's a wicked good hacker, but she's like loopy. She's kind of nuts. And then you got Valentine, and she's the woman who had a wicked hot, had a rare disease. So that like she's one of those people that like you freeze when they have a rare disease, and when they have a cure for it, you resuscitate them and give them the cure.
Right.
So this happens to her, and she ends up getting slapped with like an enormous bill, like hundreds of trillions of dollars they're charging her.
Oh yeah, and
she's all in debt, and she's just losing her mind.
Oh yeah, and she's from like the past or whatever, and she's
slowly learning how to do everything.
Right,
and just because of her situation, she just like steals from everybody.
Yeah.
And decides to become a bounty hunter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very, and it's interesting where all the characters come from, and just like the I love the jazz theme of it. Like,
yeah,
there's like this weird jazz influence, and sort of like there's a lot of emphasis on music.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, different color. They like to take from American culture on there.
Yeah, there's a lot of Scorsese influence. I feel like there's a lot of scenes in Cowboy Bebop that I'm like, this is like the end of whatever, you know, like I can't think of one specifically.
Well, it gets pretty heavy. Then what's the name of the main character? Like the guy?
Spike Spiegel.
Yeah, so Spike, he's former Martian mob.
I gotta get a toy of him, a pop toy of him.
If we can find him. I was looking for a Piccolo today. I couldn't find him.
I've seen Piccolo.
What?
Yeah.
I need that.
If I see it next, I'll get it for you.
All right, man.
Oh, you're gonna have to.
Yeah, I need to start a Funko Pop collection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you guys are making me want to get back into collecting these dumb little things, and you know, most of them are only like $11 a pop, $12 a pop.
Well, actually, I already have one.
And so it's like it's pretty easy to just spend a fortune on them.
I have one of Doc. It came in my loot crate.
Nice. I need to get I saw some good Skyrim ones the other day. I wanted to get one of those.
Yeah, I saw Sauron today, but he didn't look cool enough.
I saw that one.
His mace should have been way bigger.
But they're supposed to be cute, so you can't really vouch him for that.
Yeah, but I mean, if I'm going to have anything that's Sauron, I need it to be large and menacing.
Mm. They have like the huge, like, have you seen the bigger ones? The
yeah,
pop
yeah.
ones, like the Game of Thrones dragon and stuff like that.
Yeah, they got Smaug and Hagrid from Harry Potter.
Yeah.
And then a couple others. I mean, they got them for everything.
Yeah, I have
anything you could think of.
They're totally like the new Beanie Babies.
Yeah, I have the Jesse one from Breaking Bad right here, and they have the whole van. The whole
the van's part of a set.
Yeah.
Really?
When I get them, I'm just gonna keep them in the package, but I'm gonna like have them out.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, I'm always been bad at that. I always played with my toys when I was a kid. I have so many wrestling action figures that I wish were in the box because I'd have like.
I can't keep them in a box. It's like, you know. I've tried to do that. I've done that with a few things that I still have, but like I saved the boxes. So I have them, like with the pop vinyls, you can just pop them right back into the box.
Because you know
but
why, Andrew?
I can't just have it sit in the box and then display it like that. It's just not fun for me.
They got little windows, though.
You know why guys like me and you can't keep them in the box? Because if we keep those in the box, we keep ourselves in the box.
It's true. It's true. You can't keep it in the box.
No.
Wow, that's deep.
I know.
That's so true. Well, hell, gentlemen, we went through a lot of great sci-fis today. You should give yourselves a big round of applause, a big giant pat on the back.
Yeah, we watch so much TV. We're just like the best at watching TV.
Yeah, we're awesome at watching TV and collecting stupid toys. But hey, you know, it's been an unreal, unbelievable sci-fi podcast this week. We're having a great time during Sci-Fi Month, I feel. We're just having a blast doing sci-fi stuff. Being in outer space, just as a whole, you know, like mentally, physically, you know, just, I'm a spaceman, you know. But anyways, join us next week, if you care to, where we will be discussing some of our favorite classic sci-fi films. Also be on the lookout on the blog for the review of Boston Comic Roundtable's Outbound Volume 2, which is their science fiction anthology. I'll be reviewing that. And stay tuned later on at the end of the month for our massive Star Wars podcast in preparation for the December 16th release date of The Force Awakens. I'm Andrew Puzak of Vigilant Geek Media. I want to thank Nathan Burke.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Thanks for having me.
New England stand-up comedian.
Yes. That's
he owns this studio. I want to thank him.
Studio. I'm going to be at the Comedy Studio all of December. You can come to see me any night. Any night they have a comedy show, pretty much any night except for Monday. I'm gonna be there as the comic in residence.
That's right. Nathan is the comic in residence. It's a pretty big deal over at the Comedy Studio in Cambridge, correct? Cambridge?
Yep, that's right.
Right in Harvard Square there. You're going to want to check him out sometime this month. He's hilarious up on stage.
Oh, wow.
And last but certainly not least, I want to thank my comic book partner in crime here,
Holden Orme!
Mr. Holden Orme.
Hey, it's me.
Stay tuned for more sci-fi stuff this month. Hope you all enjoyed our podcast. And just remember, as always, stay vigilant.